The Discovery. Commander Sarah Chen gripped the railing of the U.S. Marianas observation deck as the research vessel navigated through the choppy North Pacific waters. Towering storm clouds gathered on the horizon, promising rough seas ahead. She'd spent 15 years studying deep-sea anomalies, but this expedition was different. The abnormal energy signatures detected by underwater drones in the Challenger Deep were unlike anything she'd encountered before. Approaching the drop zone, Commander, Lieutenant Rivera called from the navigation console. Deployment in 5 minutes. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the turbulent waters. Status on HFY. Deep Sea Submersible is prepped and ready. All systems green. The HFY, Hadal Environment Research Manned Exploration System, represented the pinnacle of deep-sea technology, capable of withstanding the crushing pressure of the Mariana Trench's deepest points. Sarah had helped design it, and today she would pilot it to investigate energy readings that defied all known natural phenomena. "Remember," Admiral Takahashi's voice crackled through her earpiece, "this is strictly reconnaissance. At the first sign of danger, you abort." "Understood, Admiral," Sarah replied, though they both knew she'd pushed the limits. Her reputation for calculated risk had earned her this command after all. 30 minutes later, encased in the titanium hull of HFY, Sarah descended into the abyss. The darkness enveloped the vessel as sunlight disappeared, replaced by the eerie glow of bioluminescent organisms. The pressure gauge climbed steadily, 500 atmospheres, 800, 1,000. Approaching 10,000 meters, she reported. Energy signature intensifying. The submersible's lights cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but the endless void of deep ocean, until something reflected the light back. Sarah adjusted the controls, bringing HFY closer to what appeared to be a metallic surface embedded in the trench wall. "Command, I'm detecting a structure, artificial in nature, approximately 200 meters in length, partially exposed from the sediment." "Proceed with caution, Commander," Takahashi ordered, though static increasingly distorted his voice. As HFY approached, the structure revealed more of itself. What Sarah had initially mistaken for natural rock formations were in fact massive, sleek shapes buried beneath centuries of sediment. Using the submersible's mechanical arms, she cleared away some of the silt, exposing a seamless metallic hull with unfamiliar markings. "This isn't a natural formation or a shipwreck," she whispered, more to herself than to command. "It's constructed, and it's enormous." Her instruments began behaving erratically. The energy readings spiked, and a low-frequency pulse emanated from the structure, vibrating through HFY's hull. "Command, something's happening." Before she could finish, the seafloor trembled. Sediment clouds billowed upward as the structure began to move. Sarah maneuvered HFY backward, watching in astonishment as sections of what she now recognized as a massive vessel began to separate from the trench wall. Then she realized the horrifying truth. It wasn't just one vessel. The entire trench floor was shifting, revealing dozens, perhaps hundreds of similar craft. "My God," she breathed. "It's a fleet." The communication system suddenly burst with a deafening screech before cutting to silence. In the darkness of the control cabin, a holographic display materialized before her, projecting symbols and diagrams she couldn't comprehend. A voice, synthetic yet somehow organic, filled the cabin. "Identification protocol initiated. Analyzing biological signature." Sarah remained motionless, heart pounding as the scan passed through her. "Human DNA confirmed. Authorization level insufficient. Stand by for command override." The largest vessel, at least 5 times the size of an aircraft carrier, was now fully exposed, its surface adorned with what appeared to be dormant weapon systems. The holographic display shifted, showing Earth, then the solar system, then expanding to reveal star patterns Sarah didn't recognize. Defense protocol activated. Threat assessment in progress. As suddenly as it had begun, the movement stopped. The vessels settled back into the trench floor, though now their outlines were clearly visible. The holographic display vanished, leaving Sarah in darkness broken only by Hermia's emergency lights. Hermes to command to copy. She attempted, but received only static in response. Sarah initiated the ascent procedure, her mind racing. Whatever she had discovered wasn't of human origin, and it had been waiting here, beneath Earth's oceans, for whom knew how long. 72 hours later, Sarah found herself in a secure facility beneath the Pentagon, surrounded by military brass, scientists, and government officials. Admiral Takahashi stood at the head of the conference table, his expression grave as the room watched footage from Hermes cameras for the 5th time. Our best estimates suggest these vessels have been dormant for at least 10,000 years. Dr. Eleanor Hughes, the lead xenorchaeologist, explained. The technology is unlike anything in our theoretical frameworks. The power source alone would revolutionize human civilization if we could understand it. What we need to understand, General Matthews interjected, is whether this constitutes a threat to national, to global, security. Sarah cleared her throat. With respect, General, I believe we've already triggered something. The fleet responded to my presence. It scanned me, determined I was human, then initiated what it called a defense protocol. It's awakening. The room fell silent until CIA Director Ward spoke. Commander Chen, in your professional opinion, what are we dealing with here? Sarah chose her words carefully. An automated defense system, ancient but functional. I believe it's been in a dormant state until our recent deep-sea activities triggered its sensors. The question isn't whether it's a threat to us. It's whose threat it was designed to counter, and why it was hidden on Earth. A junior officer burst into the room, apologizing for the interruption. Sir, we're detecting multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere. They've bypassed all our early warning systems. Within minutes, the facility's main display showed satellite imagery of 7 objects, clearly spacecraft, descending in perfect formation toward the Pacific Ocean. They made no aggressive movements, broadcasting no signals that human technology could detect. They're heading directly for the trench, Sarah noted. This can't be coincidence. 4 hours later, underwater sensors detected the alien craft hovering directly above the submerged fleet. Military forces worldwide were placed on high alert, nuclear submarines positioned strategically, though everyone understood the futility if these visitors proved hostile. Then, unexpectedly, one of the alien vessels surfaced near the U.S. Mariana, which had remained on station. A communication request followed, transmitted on all frequencies in perfect English. This is Ambassador Turin of the Galactic Concordat. We request immediate dialogue with Earth's governing authority regarding the Sentinel Array. Your world faces imminent danger. The hastily assembled UN Security Council, connecting via secure video, authorized contact. Sarah found herself aboard the Mariana once more, chosen as Earth's representative, due to her first-hand experience with the submerged fleet, now identified as the Sentinel Array. Ambassador Turin was tall and slender, with iridescent blue skin and 4 articulated arms. Despite the alien appearance, Sarah was struck by the unmistakable emotion in their large, faceted eyes. Fear. Commander Chen, the ambassador began, voice resonating with multiple harmonic tones. Your actions have activated a weapon system of unimaginable destructive capacity. The Sentinel Array was not placed here to protect Earth. It was hidden here, sealed away by the ancient precursor confederation after the Sundering Wars. You're saying Earth is sitting on top of someone else's abandoned weapons cache? Sarah asked incredulously. Not abandoned, imprisoned. The array consists of 1 million autonomous warships with artificial intelligence designed for a single purpose: absolute victory at any cost. They were sealed beneath your oceans when their creators realized they could not control what they had built. Sarah processed this information. If they're so dangerous, why not destroy them? They cannot be destroyed by conventional means. The array's central intelligence adapts to any threat. evolves beyond any weapon deployed against it. The precursors chose Earth, then a primitive world with simple aquatic life, as the prison for these vessels precisely because it was so remote, so unlikely to develop technology that might awaken them. Admiral Takahashi, who had joined the meeting, leaned forward. Yet here we are. What happens now? The ambassador's outer skin pulsed with bands of color, a sign of distress. Sarah would later learn. The array is already awakening. It has registered the presence of our ships as potential threats. The Concordat faces an impossible choice: leave and allow the array to potentially fall under human control, or neutralize the threat entirely. The implication hung in the air. Sarah's blood ran cold. You mean destroy Earth? That decision has not yet been made, Ter-En said quietly, but many in the Concordat believe it would be the safest option for the galaxy. As if responding to the threat, the ocean began to churn. Massive bubbles broke the surface as sensors detected movement in the trench. The first of the ancient vessels, sleek, obsidian craft with pulsing blue energy signatures, rose from the depths. The alien ambassador stepped back, mandibles clicking in alarm. It has begun. The Sentinel array awakens. Sarah watched as more vessels surfaced, their hulls shedding centuries of accumulated sediment. They formed a defensive perimeter around the Mariana, and the alien diplomatic vessel, ignoring all military craft scrambling to respond. A holographic projection materialized on the deck, similar to what Sarah had seen in HFY. This time, the synthetic voice addressed them directly. Sentinel Prime Online. Detecting multiple non-human entities. Threat assessment complete. Defensive posture initiated. Awaiting human command authorization. Ambassador Ter-En's translucent skin paled. Impossible. It's accepting human authority. Sarah stepped forward, drawn by an instinct she couldn't explain. Sentinel Prime, identify your primary directive. The hologram pulsed, expanding to show a detailed star map. Primary directive: defense of designated sentient species against extinction-level threats. Human biological signature matches protected species profile. Authority recognized. Commander Sarah Chen. Sarah turned to the stunned ambassador. It seems your precursors left out some details about this prison. The array doesn't see humans as its jailers. It sees us as its charges. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps humanity wasn't sitting on a doomsday weapon after all, but had inadvertently inherited the most powerful defensive system in the galaxy. The ambassador's communicator chimed urgently. After a brief exchange in an alien language, Ter-En turned to Sarah with renewed alarm. The Concordat High Council has been notified of the array's activation. They've dispatched the 7th Fleet. Commander Chen, you must understand, the galaxy fears what this weapon system can do. If it recognizes humans as its masters, then the galaxy will fear us too, Sarah finished. The sky darkened as more alien ships entered the atmosphere. The Sentinel array responded immediately, deploying in formation, energy weapons charging. Earth now stood at the precipice of becoming the most feared, or the most destroyed, planet in the galaxy. Sarah faced the alien ambassador, her decision made. Tell your council that Earth has no interest in galactic conquest, but we won't be threatened either. The array protects us now, but we control it, not the other way around. Whether the galaxy would believe her remained to be seen. The Ritsi Keoning. The Galactic Concordat's emergency chamber had never hosted a human before. Sarah stood at the center of the vast amphitheater, surrounded by representatives of over 300 spacefaring civilizations. The chamber itself, carved from an asteroid in neutral space, hummed with translation fields and suppression barriers designed to prevent violence during heated debates. Today, Earth was the only item on the agenda. The situation is unprecedented, High Counselor Vrax declared, his crystalline body refracting light as he moved. In less than one standard cycle, humanity has gone from an isolated pre-FTL species to controlling the most devastating weapon system ever created. Murmurs rippled through the gathered representatives. Some species Sarah couldn't even comprehend with her limited human senses. Beings of pure energy, gaseous intelligences contained in specialized environments, collective consciousnesses represented by synchronized drone bodies. The Sentinel array was sealed for a reason. Ambassador Kolvak of the hegemony hissed, compound eyes fixed on Sarah. Its creation nearly destroyed the precursor civilization. Its deployment shattered entire star systems. We cannot allow such power to remain in the hands of a species that still fights over resources on their own world. Sarah maintained her composure, though her heart raced. The fate of Earth depended on her next words. The array recognized human authority for a reason, she countered. Your own historical records confirm the precursors visited Earth multiple times during our evolution. They didn't just choose our planet randomly, they chose us as inheritors. An unproven theory, High Counselor Vrax responded. More likely, they simply needed a remote, primitive world unlikely to disturb the array. Sarah activated the data crystal Ambassador Terran had provided, projecting ancient precursor text into the chamber center. Your own restricted archives tell a different story. The precursors saw something in early humans: adaptability, determination, perhaps what you would call compassion. They encoded human genetic markers into the array's recognition systems as a failsafe. If the array ever awakened, it would only respond to those they deemed worthy successors. The chamber erupted in shouts and demands, some calling for immediate military action against Earth, others urging caution. Through it all, Sarah noticed one delegation, the enigmatic Voidborn, remaining silent, observing with what seemed like calculated interest. High Counselor Vrax restored order with a resonating harmonic pulse. Commander Chen, you must understand our position. The array represents an existential threat to galactic stability. While we have no desire for conflict with Earth, we cannot allow such a weapon to remain active. The array isn't just a weapon, Sarah insisted. Its primary directive is defense, not conquest. Earth has no interest in galactic domination. We only want security and recognition of our sovereignty. A new voice cut through the chamber, Elder Zoth of the Voidborn, speaking for the first time. Perhaps we are asking the wrong questions, the Elder said, voice like wind through ancient caves. Not why the array has awakened, but why now? Not who controls it, but who benefits from this crisis. The Elder glided forward, darkness seeming to flow around their form. Commander Chen, when your vessel first encountered the array, did you detect any external signals? Sarah hesitated. Our instruments detected energy fluctuations before the array activated, but we assumed they originated from the array itself. They did not, Elder Zoth stated with certainty. The Voidborn have been monitoring spatial anomalies throughout this sector for centuries. 3 standard cycles ago, we detected directed energy pulses aimed precisely at the coordinates of your Mariana Trench. Someone was deliberately attempting to activate the array. The chamber fell silent as implications spread like ripples. Who? Sarah asked, though she suspected she already knew. All eyes turned to the hegemony delegation. Ambassador Kolvak's mandibles clicked in agitation. Absurd accusations without evidence, the ambassador chittered, but several counselors were already accessing secure channels, confirming the Voidborn's claims. The hegemony has been expanding aggressively for decades, High Counselor Vrax noted. A galactic crisis centered on Earth would provide excellent cover for further annexations, while the Concordats' attention was diverted. Sarah processed this revelation. You wanted us to awaken the array. You needed Earth to become a threat so the Concordat would have no choice but to intervene, either destroying us or bringing the array under Concordat control. Ambassador Kolvak abandoned pretense, mandibles flexing in what Sarah recognized as the equivalent of a smirk. A primitive species stumbling upon godlike power. The outcome was predictable. Either you would destroy yourselves attempting to control it, or the Concordat would be forced to eliminate the threat. Either scenario served our purposes. And what happens when the array detects your ships approaching Earth with hostile intent? Sarah asked, her voice steady despite her growing anger. Its defensive capabilities evolved for millennia while dormant. Do you really believe the hegemony could control what the precursors could not? Before Kovac could respond, the chamber's communication systems activated automatically. A hologram materialized. Lieutenant Rivera from the U.S. Mariana. Commander Chen. Rivera's voice was tight with urgency. The array is detecting incoming warp signatures, hundreds of vessels approaching Earth from multiple vectors. They're not broadcasting Concordat identification codes. Sarah looked directly at Kovac. You didn't just wake the array. You planned to steal it all along. The hegemony ambassador's compound eyes gleamed. The strong survive, Commander. The array is wasted on humans. Under our control, it will restore proper order to the galaxy. High Counselor Vrax rose to his full height, crystal body pulsing with bright energy. This constitutes an act of war against the Concordat. Ambassador, your delegation is hereby detained pending investigation. But Sarah was already moving, pushing through the startled delegates toward the teleportation chamber. I need to return to Earth immediately. The array is programmed to respond to threats with escalating force. If the hegemony fleet opens fire. Elder Zoth glided alongside her. The hegemony does not seek to destroy the array, Commander Chen. They intend to subvert its control systems using a quantum override they've spent decades developing. If they succeed, even your human authorization codes won't matter. The Concordat's emergency transport system activated, the fastest method of returning her to Earth. But Sarah knew she would arrive in the middle of a battle already underway. The Pacific Ocean boiled with energy discharges as Sarah materialized aboard the U.S. Mariana. The sky above was split by weapons fire. Hegemony warships engaging the first wave of Sentinel vessels that had risen to Earth's defense. Situation report, she demanded, rushing to the command center where Admiral Takahashi coordinated with military forces worldwide. Hegemony forces breached our outer system defenses 30 minutes ago, the Admiral explained, pointing to tactical displays. The array responded automatically. These vessels here formed a defensive perimeter, while these larger ships deployed what appear to be energy shields over major population centers. Sarah studied the battle formations with growing concern. The array is fighting defensively. It's prioritizing protection over counterattack. Isn't that good? Lieutenant Rivera asked. Not against the hegemony, Sarah explained, recalling Elder Zoth's warning. They don't want to destroy the array. They want to capture it. Every minute we spend on defense gives them more time to implement their override system. As if confirming her fears, sensors detected a specialized hegemony vessel descending toward the Mariana Trench, toward the array's central core, still submerged in the deepest part of the ocean. We need to reach the control core before they do, Sarah said. Prepare HFY for immediate launch. Admiral Takahashi objected. Commander, that's suicide. The battle zone is too hot. You'll never reach the trench. We don't have a choice, Sarah insisted. If the hegemony gains control of the array, Earth is finished, and the balance of power in the galaxy shifts forever. The Admiral hesitated, then nodded grimly. Then you're not going alone. I'm sending a special forces team with you. 20 minutes later, Hieronymus plunged beneath the waves, descending rapidly toward the trench while escorted by 4 Sentinel vessels that had responded to Sarah's command authorization. Above, the battle intensified as more array ships emerged from hiding places all across Earth's oceans, revealing that the initial vessels were merely the vanguard of a truly massive force. 1 million ships, Sarah murmured, watching the tactical feed as Hieronymus descended. The precursors built a fleet of 1 million autonomous warships and hid them on our planet. Captain Torres, leading the Special Forces team, checked his equipment. Still trying to wrap my head around why they chose Earth. I think I know, Sarah said, the pieces finally coming together. The Voidborn mentioned the precursors visited Earth during our evolution. What if they didn't just observe us? What if they shaped us? You're saying they engineered humans? Not entirely, but guided our development. Think about it. The array recognizes human genetic markers that are billions of years removed from the precursors themselves. That's not coincidence. They were creating inheritors, species who could one day join them. The depth gauge showed they were approaching the trench floor. Ahead, HFY lights illuminated the massive structure of the array's control core, a sprawling complex embedded in the ocean floor, now fully exposed and humming with energy. And descending toward it from the opposite direction, the hegemony capture vessel. We're not going to beat them there, Torres observed grimly. Sarah activated the direct communication line to the array. Sentinel Prime, priority override. Commander Sarah Chen, designate approaching vessel as Class 1 threat. Authorization, Human Progenitor Code Alpha. She had no idea if such a code existed. She was working on instinct, piecing together what she'd learned from the Concordat archives and her own experiences with the array. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the ocean around them lit up as the control core's defense systems activated, targeting the hegemony vessel with precision energy beams. It worked, Torres exclaimed. But their victory was short-lived. The hegemony ship deployed countermeasures, quantum fields that absorbed and redirected the energy attacks. It continued its descent, now deploying what appeared to be boarding craft toward the core. They'd been preparing for this for decades, Sarah realized. They knew exactly what defenses the array would have. HFY reached the ocean floor as the first hegemony boarding units attached themselves to the control core. Sarah made a decision. Captain Torres, your team needs to enter the core and prevent the hegemony from reaching the central eye matrix. I'll coordinate from here and try to access the array's deeper protocols. The Special Forces team deployed through HFY's airlock, using advanced diving equipment to move toward the control core. Sarah watched them go, then turned her attention to the holographic interface that had materialized within the submersible. Sentinel Prime, I need access to precursor command protocols. Authorization, Sarah Chen, Human Guardian. The interface pulsed, then reconfigured into a complex three-dimensional matrix of symbols and connections. Limited access granted. The synthetic voice responded. Warning. Full precursor command integration requires genetic synchronization. Precursor command authority requires biological interface between human genetic material and core systems. Warning. Process is irreversible and alters human physiology. Over the comm system, she heard gunfire and energy weapons as Torres' team engaged hegemony forces within the control core. They were buying time, but not enough. The hegemonies breached the secondary chambers. Torres reported between bursts of weapons fire. They're deploying some kind of device. Looks like the override system. Sarah made her decision. Sentinel Prime, initiate genetic synchronization. Authorization. Final protocol. A compartment opened in HFY's control panel, revealing a crystalline interface unlike any human technology. Sarah placed her hand on it, feeling a sharp pain as the crystal extracted blood samples. Synchronization initiated. Standby for integration. Pain shot through Sarah's body as information flooded her consciousness. The history of the precursors, the true purpose of the array, the reason Earth had been chosen. She saw it all in an instant, understanding dawning like a supernova. When the pain subsided, she knew exactly what to do. Sentinel Prime. Execute Protocol Omega. Full dispersal pattern. Throughout Earth's oceans, the million vessels of the Sentinel array responded as one. But instead of attacking the hegemony fleet, they began to change, restructuring themselves at the molecular level, breaking apart into smaller components that rose into the atmosphere. Inside the control core, the hegemony override device activated and found nothing to control. The array was no longer a fleet of ships. It had become something else entirely. "What have you done?" came the panicked voice of the hegemony commander over an open channel. Sarah watched as the array components spread throughout Earth's atmosphere, forming an invisible, interlocking network. "What the precursors always intended," she answered. "The array was never meant to be a permanent weapon. It was a protective cocoon, designed to shield developing civilizations until they were ready to emerge." Torres and his surviving team members made it back to HFY as the control core began to shut down, its purpose fulfilled. "Commander," Torres asked, staring at the display showing the array's transformation, "what happens now?" Sarah felt the knowledge the precursors had embedded in the array systems, knowledge now flowing through her altered biology. "Now humanity takes its place in the galaxy," she said, "not as conquerors, not as victims, but as guardians. The Sentinel array hasn't been destroyed. It's been distributed. Every particle now forms part of a defensive shield around Earth. No invasion force can penetrate it. No weapon can destroy it." She turned to face her astonished crew. The precursors created the array as a temporary measure, knowing that eventually the species they guided would need to stand on their own. Earth wasn't chosen as a prison. It was chosen as an incubator. As HFYs ascended toward the surface, reports came in from around the world. The hegemony fleet was retreating, their plan thwarted. The Concordat ships maintained position at the edge of the solar system, watchful but no longer threatening. Hours later, Sarah stood on the deck of the U.S. Mariana, gazing at the seemingly normal sky, though she could now perceive the faint energy signature of the array's shield, invisible to normal human senses. Admiral Takahashi joined her, offering a secure communication device. "The Concordat High Council is requesting to speak with you. Apparently, you're now Earth's de facto ambassador." Sarah took the device, considering how quickly everything had changed. In less than a week, humanity had gone from isolation to standing at the center of galactic politics. "You know what this means," Takahashi said quietly. "Every spacefaring civilization now knows about Earth, and they're terrified of us." Sarah nodded, watching distant stars twinkle above, stars that now held worlds and civilizations she would soon encounter. "They fear what they don't understand," she replied. "The array was never about making the galaxy fear us. It was about ensuring we'd survive long enough to join it." She activated the communication device, preparing to address the Concordat as humanity's first true galactic representative. The knowledge the precursors had left behind, now part of her, would guide her words. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of Earth," she began. "Let's talk about the future." Behind her, the ocean remained calm, giving no indication of the million-ship fleet that had slumbered there for millennia. Earth's secret guardian was gone, transformed into something greater, and humanity along with it. Far from destroying Earth to neutralize a threat, the galaxy would now have to accept humans as equals, perhaps even as protectors, carrying on the legacy the precursors had entrusted to them.